If it's Monday night, oh yes, it is ridiculously raw. The penultimate ridiculously raw before the showcase of the Immortals, WrestleMania 33. Hello, friends, and welcome to Ridiculously Raw, the ridiculously over gentleman Anthony Flair here with you. Um, unfortunately, we only have half the band here tonight. About 10 minutes before Raw went on the air tonight, I received a text message from good old MF Michael Fletcher. Michael Fletcher's feeling is under the weather. He's not feeling well. So because of that, Michael Fletcher will not be joining us this evening. I thought for sure Dee Woodson was going to be joining us this evening, but she's nowhere to be seen. Maybe she's having issues again. I don't know what the story is with her, but I think for all intents and purposes, it looks like Dee Woodson, the Twisted Angel and First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, will not be joining us either. So that means the Yes Movement is going to be running this show here tonight, as I am joined by the Phenom Michael Bullock, and we've had a big day already. I mean, we've done a lot this evening. I mean, we had a boys' night out, and we had our Raw chat, and now we got this. So let's keep the action going. So with all that being said, you know what we do. We know what we do. We're gonna review Monday Night Raw. And I'll also give you my Tony's take on 205 Live and Impact Wrestling. And then in future content, big announcement. We got some very exciting future content, as Michael Bullock informed me of a little bit ago during our Raw chat. So I will definitely, and as I'm looking at the docket here, I mean, unreal. So really looking forward to the exciting future content we've got coming up. So with that being said, let's dive on into this penultimate edition of Monday Night Raw, the second to last Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania. It was live from the Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York. One of the IWC hotspots. And oh boy, the IWC, yeah, they were in full force this evening, let me tell you. So we started it off. General Manager Mick Foley comes out, read a prepared statement on index cards that were handed to him by the Authority. And then Mick Foley, just went off and he says, I'm Mick Foley. I don't need index cards. I'm going to say what I want to say. And then that brings out the commissioner, Stephanie McMahon, and it was inevitable. And we finally got the inevitable this evening. Mick Foley fired as general manager of Monday Night Raw. Not a big surprise. He is scheduled to, he's going to be undergoing hip surgery anytime now. And I think, and this was obviously done to write him out of the show, so we can get that hip surgery done. So, and then Sami Zayn interrupted and basically stood up for Mick Foley, stood up to Stephanie, and Stephanie was like, well, I'm sorry you feel this way, Sammy, because, you stand up to me, well, you're going to be punished for that. And I'm going to punish you by putting you in a match against Samoa Joe. So it leads into a match, Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn, and Samoa Joe wins the match in 12 minutes and 20 seconds. 2-for-1 deal. So let's get into this. As far as the opening segment goes, a very strong opening segment with Mick Foley once again showing good fire after reading the prepared statement. I was hopeful that they would leave it as a leave of absence while Foley goes away to get legit hip surgery, but Stephanie made it an all-out firing. Of course, nothing has to be permanent in wrestling, so we probably have not seen the last of Mick Foley, who has really shined over the last 2 weeks. And on top of that, I love that Sami Zayn was given the chance to stand up to Stephanie. He handled it very well. So all in all, mission accomplished. A lot accomplished in that opening segment. Well done. Now, as far as the match goes, with Samoa Joe winning the bout in 12 minutes and 20 seconds with the infamous Coquina Clutch, one of the fights of the night. Heck, I can make an argument to say that this was the fight of the night, honestly. Very entertaining television match. Sami Zayn continues to show fighting spirit, and Samoa Joe looks like a badass. A monster. No, I'll go further as to say a monster badass heel, as of what he's supposed to be. He's just like Brock Lesnar. He's not in the business to make friends. He's only in it for the money and the championships. That's exactly what you have to be if you want to make it in the business, because we all know how much of a cutthroat business professional wrestling is. Why do you think Bullock and I are doing this nowadays? Yeah, we couldn't handle it. Not just the rigorous travel schedule, but also the politics as well. No way. But anyways, the broadcast team even put over the fact that he was running to the ring post, and that didn't even knock him off his feet. So all in all, well done all around. If I had to give a rating for the fight, I would have to say probably 3 to 3.25 stars. So that's really all I can say on that. Followed by a very strong opening segment. So that was a good half hour or so, and a very good way to start off this penultimate edition of Monday Night Raw in Brooklyn tonight. So, Phenom, Michael Bullock, let's bring you on in. We definitely had some fun with that Foley segment, as well as the match with Joe and Zayn. So, your thoughts on all of this, 2 for 1?
Yeah, we definitely had a lot of fun with this segment. I mean, yeah, like you basically said, I mean, Foley, I mean, showed some passion where he basically said, you know, why the heck am I reading from index cards when I should be speaking for myself? But basically, and going off about how things were run, and basically told this basically led Stephanie McMahon to coming out, and she went off on Mick Foley and said, you know what, you can forget your leave of absence, because you know what, you're fired. I mean, we knew it was going to happen, because like you just said, Florio, that he was going to be going in for hip surgery at any time. So this basically writes him off. And I was surprised to see Sami Zayn come out, and he basically tried to stand up for Mick Foley. Well, basically Stephanie McMahon says, you know what, you want to stand up for him? Well, guess what? You're going to get punished for trying to stand up to me. I'm going to put you in a match against Samoa Joe. So, and this was basically the theme here. Stephanie McMahon basically punishing anybody who supported Mick Foley. We'll get into that throughout the review here. So, and as far as the match goes, I do agree. It's a 3 to 3.25 star match. I mean, love the work by both men, and yeah, I mean, Florio, basically you pretty much touched on everything. So 3 to 3.25 stars. So with that being said, let's just move on.
Yes, indeed. And then we move on to Michael Cole. Michael Cole and the broadcast team interviewing Seth Rollins' personal trainer, Kevin Wilk. And Wilk said it'll take several months before he's really ready to compete. And Wilk said no doctor in America will clear him for WrestleMania. And but there will be more to that story later on, because Michael Cole had his, those infamous Michael Cole sit-down interviews. Well, he had one in the ring with Triple H. We're going to get into that, because major news coming out of that, and we're definitely going to get into that. Believe that. And then we have, what's a ridiculously Raw without, those little annoying little gnats, those little annoying pests called cutouts. Well, this is the first of some cutouts here. We had a women's division match. It was Charlotte Flair squaring off against her now former protege, Dana Brooke. Charlotte wins the match, 3 minutes and 35 seconds. I would probably maybe give it 1 star for the effort. I got a little bit ahead of myself because of those cut. Oh yeah, it is a cutout. That's right. I do my thing on that. Right. Long day, and especially with Bullock here, but that's okay. But anyways, Charlotte won it in 3:35. I know Bullock doesn't want a part of it, so I'll take it. Yeah, it's a 1 star. The message here seemed to be that viewers who were excited about Dana Brooke's turn last week should calm down. The broadcast team tried to make it seem like Brooke made a good showing, but the finish was decisive and flat, that this match defined her as an undercard wrestler within the women's division. And that's realistically where she belongs at this point. But why not keep them apart for now and try to get a little something out of a feud between them post-WrestleMania? So that's all I can say on that. I have every right to give this no rating to a dud, but I'll give it 1 star for the effort. It wasn't that bad, but it was, one of those meh fights of the night. So, and then like Michael Bullock said, Stephanie McMahon, going on her $1 billion princess power trip. First she punished Sami Zayn, and then she took out her frustrations on the Raw Women's Champion Bayley in a backstage moment and informed her that Bayley is going to have to face Nia Jax again after the beating Nia Jax inflicted on her last week. But this time it was not going to be a one-on-one match. It was going to be a no disqualification match. And if Nia Jax wins the bout, add Nia Jax to the women's championship match at WrestleMania, taking it from a triple threat to a fatal four-way. So we'll get into that match in a little bit. But then we had the highlight reel. It was the highlight reel. This was one of the two big selling points for this show. The United States Heavyweight Champion Chris Jericho coming down for the highlight reel. His guest, quote unquote, the real Kevin Owens. And oh boy, Michael Bullock and I did we have a lot of fun with this, because we had the vintage Chris Jericho. We got everything we wanted out of this. He called him a mutton head, and then he called him a stupid idiot. Loved it. And then was about to put him on the list before he got interrupted by Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe with the distraction, and then Kevin Owens with the sneak attack from behind. Basically beats the pulp out of Jericho. Pop-up powerbomb. So there you go. Michael Bullock, let's start it off with you now, because this is relevant stuff. Chris Jericho, man, you were for several months you were critical of him, but then once they turned him babyface and went back to the Raw Jericho. I mean, we had a lot of fun with this, especially when he called him a mutton head and a stupid idiot, a la like we do.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely a very good segment. Jericho basically talking about the real Kevin Owens, and showing pictures of what he looked like as a kid with a Y2J shirt, and and basically talking everything about Kevin Owens, well, calling him basically a mutton head and a stupid idiot, and basically saying, you know what? I never really needed him as a friend. I got friends all around the building tonight. I call them the Friends of Jericho. Cheer for me, man. And then at WrestleMania, he was going to get Y2J, the Ayatollah of rock and roll. And basically, he said, you know what? You know what happens when you turn your back on, when you try to stab Chris Jericho? And just when it looks like he was going to add him to the list, Samoa Joe comes out, and it basically leads Kevin Owens to coming out and just beating the snot out of Chris Jericho, and basically tearing the list apart. So it does and basically add some build into this match at WrestleMania. So it's definitely another one of the top segments of the night. So, Florio, it is yours.
Yes, indeed. You're right. You're right about that, Bullock. Another very good, another strong segment. This was a really good segment. A small part of me was worried that this would be more of a comedic segment with the teases of Jericho's depiction of what the real Owens is all about. But it was really well done. And I also liked that they put more heat on Owens. It's not an even battle going into WrestleMania. It's Owens gaining more and more heat. The only negative is that there's no focus whatsoever on the United States Heavyweight Championship, aside from Kevin Owens saying he wants to take that from Chris Jericho because Chris Jericho cost him the Universal Championship at Fastlane with Goldberg. So, but yeah, really well done. And like I said, I love the vintage Jericho. I mean, Muttonhead, stupid idiot, the whole list routine, absolutely loved it. And then Owens doing what he did. Yeah. Another one of the segments of the night for sure. Absolutely. Well, got another cutout here. Cruiserweight action. Stop me if you've heard this before. TJ Perkins squaring off against the Brian Kendrick. I think we've heard that before. We've heard that story before back in the fall. I think we all remember that. The Brian Kendrick wins the match in 1 minute, 25 seconds. Yeah, match didn't even get 90 seconds. Why bother? Presentation of the cruiserweights on Raw continues to be lousy. Most of the matches feel random and pointless. Worse yet, it feels like these matches can't end soon enough for WWE officials. No rating to a dud. One of the worst fights of the night, if not the worst fight of the night, if I can be real honest with you. Terrible. And then from there, it was another one of those. They had the broadcast team. They showed this Goldberg and Lesnar video. It talked about Bill Goldberg and everything else, and more on that later. And then there was another one of those Stephanie punishment segments. This time, it was Sheamus and Cesaro who felt the wrath of the $1 Billion Princess, informing Sheamus and Cesaro that they would have to face both the Raw Tag Team Champions Gallows and Anderson and Enzo and Cass in a 4-on-2 handicap match. And if they were to lose, they're gone. They're not only out of that fight, but they're out of WrestleMania altogether. So, yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute. Because next up, it's the no disqualification match. The Raw Women's Champion Bayley versus Nia Jax. If Nia Jax were to win, Nia Jax gets added to the match. Winner of the match in 10 minutes and 35 seconds. And now the fourth entrant into the championship match at WrestleMania. She's in. It's now official. Nia Jax wins the bout with the Samoan drop. They took an odd path, but the heavily rumored 4-way match is now official. So there we have it. Bullock and I and so many others, we were reading, how many dirt sheets have we read saying that this was what they were going to do at WrestleMania with these 4? I mean, we knew it was going to be Bayley, Charlotte, Nia, and Sasha. The only thing we thought was that maybe Charlotte was going to be the champion going in for sure. But boy, howdy, were we wrong about that when they put Bayley over last month in that awesome match in Vegas. But, well, for me, yeah, I think I pretty much took care of I would probably say maybe second best fight of the night here. I'm actually gonna give it a solid 2.5 stars for the effort. So that's really all I can say. I'm gonna give it solid 2.5 for the effort. So yeah, the 4-way, it's on. No big surprise. Now the question is, who wins? We only have 10 days to think about that. So with that being said, Michael Bullock, let's get your thoughts on it. Nia Jax is in. 4-way, WrestleMania, Nia, Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, Raw Women's Championship. I believe we had that one, and so did the dirt sheets.
Yep, we had it. The dirt sheets were saying that that it was going to become a fatal 4-way, and lo and behold, we got our fatal 4-way. So yeah, I'll give it 2.5 stars for the effort. Definitely. We knew Nia Jax was going to win it, and yeah, so you basically touched on it. So now the question is, who wins? Well, we still got plenty of time to definitely think about it. So we'll wait and see as we go. But some people would say maybe Nia Jax is the favorite, but like I said, that's something we're all going to be thinking about. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So 2.5 stars for the match. So Florio, it is yours.
Yes, indeed. And now let's move on to let me see what we have here. I also wanted to let you folks know that there will not be a Hall of Fame announcement because they did not announce a new inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. Maybe next week on the Go Home Show. We'll see. But now we go into another one of the relevant segments here. The sit-down interview in the ring. Michael Cole, the voice of Monday Night Raw, with Triple H, the sit-down interview. And, they basically, talked about, the whole thing with Seth Rollins and, basically ripping on the fans and talking about Mick Foley and the whole 9 yards. And then as they were wrapping it up, Triple H said, hold on. He's like, you know what if there's a way we can still have this match at WrestleMania? I'll draw up a contract for an unsanctioned match so that Rollins can't sue me or my wife or the company once I cripple him. And Hunter said, what do you guys think? Do you want to see that? So he's like, show up here next week. I'll drop the paperwork, sign the whole harmless agreement, and at WrestleMania it will be Seth Rollins versus Triple H. And he's like, are you gonna show up, or are you just a friggin' coward? Whoa. Michael Bullock, you got to have some serious thoughts on this. What a segment. And it looks like we might be getting Triple H and Rollins after all. Rollins just has to sign the whole harmless agreement, letter of indemnification, what have you. But like I said, Michael Bullock, you got to have some serious thoughts on this.
Boy, very interesting. I mean, it was a very good segment, and basically it was Triple H, of course, bragging about what he did to Seth Rollins last week on Raw, where he basically crippled him and basically beat the crap out of him, and especially on that injured knee. And just when it looked like the segment was going to end, so basically Triple H says, hold on, maybe there is a way we can still have Triple H versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Yes, what if we made it a match where basically Seth Rollins can't sue me or my wife or the company when I cripple him? Do you want to see it happen? All you gotta do is show up to Raw next week. I'll get the paperwork, and all you gotta do is sign the contract, the whole harmless contract, and the match will be on for WrestleMania. Seth Rollins and Triple H in a non-sanctioned match. So, and I'll tell you what, that's going to go down. And when it does go down, I know we talk about the cruiserweight championship match being a show stealer. I beg to differ, Florio. This could be a show stealer if this is a non-sanctioned match, because we all remember the last one Triple H was in. And that was against Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 2002, where that was basically a 5-star classic, and one that we definitely enjoyed. So we'll wait and see how it all plays out come next week on the final Raw before WrestleMania. So another great segment here. So Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean,
what do you think? Do you agree that could be a show stealer?
Of course. I mean, if they're given enough time, and if Rollins is able to work through the injury, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it. SummerSlam 2002, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, the non-sanctioned match, the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island. I mean, 5-star classic, and what else is there to say? I mean, in many people's eyes, it's the greatest match in SummerSlam history. I mean, you can definitely make the argument for it. I mean, because, that was SummerSlam 2002. Let's not kid ourselves. Was the greatest SummerSlam of all time. I mean, that was a 9.5 show out of 10. I mean, everybody remembers how great that show was, and even I do. I mean, so many memorable moments on that show. I mean, the story for another day. But Triple H and Shawn, I mean, they're the ones who stole the show. I mean, the emotion of that fight, the Shakespearean drama of that fight. I mean, just the all around brawl. I mean, it was just amazing. And you can make an argument, like I said, for the greatest match in SummerSlam history. I mean, from a gimmick match standpoint, definitely that's the greatest right there. But from a scientific, technical wrestling standpoint, of course, you think Bret Hart and the British Bulldog from '92. But that's like I said, story for another day. But anyways, Hunter's first promo on Rollins sounded like he was trying to be the babyface in this feud. But I have enjoyed his mic work since. The crowd wasn't playing along as much as I think he would have liked, but he did manage to get a rise out of them and get them to respond once he provoked them. So that's all I can say on that. So this was just another great segment right here. I mean, and I think this was Triple H's best heel work yet when it comes to this feud. And we all want to see it. We all want to see him and Rollins go at it at WrestleMania. I mean, and if you make that thing a non-sanctioned bout, and if it's anything like what we saw at SummerSlam in 2002 when Triple H and Shawn Michaels tore the house down at the old Nassau Coliseum, oh yeah, we're in for something really special. So we'll see. Then we move on to the 4-on-2 handicap matchup. The tag team champions, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Enzo and Cass. They all team up against Sheamus and Cesaro by order of Commissioner Stephanie McMahon. If Sheamus and Cesaro lose, they're gone. If they win, they stay alive. I'm going to tell you right now, the fight ended in 35 seconds. This was the worst fight of the night. It's a no rating to a dud. And the winners of the match, Sheamus and Cesaro, because let's face it, Gallows, Anderson, Enzo, and Cass, they just don't play like each other. That's all there is to it. And you really think they were going to coexist as a team? No way. They beat each other up, they attack each other, and it opened the door for Sheamus and Cesaro. It was almost like a Hart Foundation like clothesline. I mean, Cesaro had them set up like they were going to do the Hart Foundation clothesline, but Sheamus with the bro kick, and that was all she wrote. So Sheamus and Cesaro win it. The triple threat is still on for the Raw Tag Team Championship. So, come on, did you really think Sheamus and Cesaro were going to be left off for WrestleMania? Did you really think that? No, absolutely not. They were not going to be left off. They're valuable commodities, both of them. And then from there, we had another cruiserweight match. We had Austin Aries, the #1 contender for the Cruiserweight Championship, after winning that awesome 5-way match. I'll get more into that when I do my 205 Live in a little bit. Austin Aries squared off against the premier athlete, Tony Nese. Austin Aries wins the match 8 minutes and 5 seconds with the discus 5-arm. I mean, yeah, they call it the discus 5-arm now. They don't call it the discus 4-arm. So that's basically all there is to say on that. So now, Bullock, I don't remember. Actually, I think I take it from here because I think you let off on the Triple H stuff. But I'm gonna retweak some ratings here. I'm gonna give the Joe and Zayn fight actually 3.5 stars. Charlotte and Dana, I'm gonna keep that at 1. The Kendrick and Perkins, that was no rating to a dud. The Jackson Bailey, yeah, I suppose that was 2.5. That was no rating to a dud. This here, I'm gonna give this 2.5 stars. This is a no-brainer here. This is a 2-star. This was a 2.5-star cruiserweight match. This was far and away better than the other cruiserweight match. I mean, it was a perfectly fine match, but my issue again is that Aries is being booked like any other guy and going 50-50 instead of dominating like the top contender that he is. So that's basically all I can say on that. But nonetheless, I mean, it's on. We're gonna get it. It's gonna be Austin Aries squaring off against Adrian Neville. But then after that, Adrian Neville came out and said that Aries was no threat and that Aries' ego will cost him at WrestleMania. And then Aries mocked him, and especially when Aries mocked him to the point where he was saying the king of the cruiserweights. Oh, Bullock and I had a laugh out of that. So we definitely liked that. So but the match was 2.5. Post-match was solid. So that's all I can say there. So Michael Bullock, your thoughts on this cruiserweight match? Austin Aries and Tony Nese and that little promo where Aries made fun of Neville's accent with the king of the cruiserweights.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. I agree with you on the rating. I mean, they're continuing to make Austin Aries look good for his big matchup against Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship at WrestleMania. And boy, you and I, we definitely got a kick out of the post-match when Austin Aries made fun of Neville's accent with the king of the cruiserweights. Yeah, and we hope that at the end of WrestleMania that Aries will end the screaming of Neville. But let's face it, it's starting to get annoying right now, if I'm going to be quite honest. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. 2.5 stars on the match. The post-match was awesome. So, Floria, let's move on.
Yep, Austin Healy Aries. That's all there is to say on that. Remember that name, folks. I mean, you know what he did in TNA. I mean, I already ran down his laundry list. So that's all there is to say on that. And they show another Goldberg Lesnar video. And then they announced that on 205 Live, Austin Aries and Neville are going to have another chat tomorrow night. So that should be interesting. So, and now that leads us to the main event. Main event of the evening, of course, the return match from Fastlane. Roman Reigns versus the Monster Among Men. Hit me with a bullet. Roar!
Roar!
Braun Strowman, the Monster of Men. The Monster Among Men. Strowman actually wins the match via disqualification in 9 minutes because why? Gong. For whom the bell tolls. The Undertaker. That's right, The Undertaker. Another surprise appearance by the Dead Man. Choke slams Braun Strowman. That's the DQ right there. Well, Michael Bullock. Your man, you showed up. Another surprise appearance by the Dead Man as he costs Roman Reigns this return match with Strowman. Roman gets disqualified because of Taker's choke slamming of Strowman. Obviously, this fight was nowhere near good as the Fastlane bout was.
Yeah, I'm gonna NA the match. Really didn't go that long, but man, I love the post match stuff at the end. I mean, the Undertaker shows up. I mean, I told you, Florio, don't be surprised if the Dead Man shows up tonight, and lo and behold, he did. And he stared down Roman Reigns, and then afterwards gave Braun Strowman a choke slam, and then just as Undertaker turned around, he gets hit with a spear, as if Roman Reigns was telling the Dead Man, "I'm not intimidated by you. I don't fear you, and I'm here to tell you this is my yard. And at WrestleMania, I'm taking it." But then the Dead Man sits up and does his famous slashing of the throat and say, "Come WrestleMania, I will bury you 6 feet under, and you will rest in peace." So, match was an NA, but the post-match stuff was better. So, this is a match that I'm definitely going to be looking forward to come WrestleMania. So Florio, it is yours.
Yeah, you got to NA it. I mean, it felt more. I mean, I know some reviews say it was Strowman winning by disqualification, but another one saying it was no contest. So I think it was more of a no contest, really. So I'm going to classify it as a no contest, and when it's a no contest, you know what that means. It's an automatic NA. But if I were to rate the bout, I would rate it 2 stars for the effort. I mean, nowhere near as good as the Fastlane match. It felt like a neutered version of it to get us to Taker. It was fine, but like I said, main event match was nowhere near as good as the Fastlane match, but it served its purpose. Post-match angle was well done. I'm not sure if the story was Taker showing regret over chokeslamming Strowman or because doing so left himself vulnerable. So that's really all I can say on that. So overall review here. Overall, the show focused almost entirely on WrestleMania, which is obviously a positive. However, I can't say it really, increased my level of excitement for the show in a meaningful way. I mean, we did have some storyline progression, with most of the angles and
only for the Raw side.
Yeah, only for the Raw side. Yes. They did that thing where they tricked us by putting on a good first hour, but the quality quickly dropped off. And I kind of felt there was a little too much focus on Foley and Stephanie. And then while there was some attention and efforts to build to Mania, none of it felt all that important or made me even care. Overall, I felt tonight's show was a little bit of a below average effort that did a little to make me excited for Mania. So I'm leaning towards right around 6 out of 10, if I'm going to be real honest with you. If I was going to recommend some things to watch from this show, Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn, definitely. The segment with Mick Foley and Stephanie, and Sami Zayn, I think you got to check that out as well. I thought that was good. the in-ring interview with Triple H and Michael Cole, the highlight reel with Jericho. That was great. I'm not going to recommend the Reigns and Strowman match, but I am going to recommend the post match because if you're an Undertaker mark like Michael Bullock is, you want to see the Undertaker and see what the Undertaker did. And then from there, I'll even throw in Aries and Nice because I thought that was a solid match, and I'll even throw in Bayley and Nia Jax. But other than that, skip the rest of the show. So it felt like a 6 out of 10 for me. So even with the storyline progression, you progress Jericho and Owens, you progress Triple H and Rollins. Goldberg and Lesnar didn't get much progression except for that little video package, but I do believe we heard, Michael Bullock, I do believe we heard that I believe you informed me that both
both of them are going to be on Raw next week.
Yeah, and next week, baby, it's the go home show. Raw, we have to bring it. We have to bring it. This week was fine. This was an okay week to put on a half-assed effort. That was okay, but
no this is what it has to be, Florio. It has to be a 7 out of 10.
Amen.
Because if it's not,
we're going off.
Watch out. The Phenom's coming out, and I'm getting my shovel, and I'm burying somebody.
We can't have a half-assed effort next week. It has to be a balls to the wall.
It's not just for Roman Reigns. This shovel, it's for those ritters at WWE.
Yeah. Let's not focus on the high school OC Days of Our Lives like drama with Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley. Even though it was fine, even though I thought it was fine, but I felt that they put a little too much focus on that. SmackDown Live.
I don't think we have to worry about it now. Foley's out.
Yeah, because he is getting the hip surgery. So yeah, hopefully not. So but next week on Monday Night Raw, the go home show, Wells Fargo Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, another IWC hotspot. Let me just say this: no half-assing next week. We'll let you get away with the half-assing this week, even though I'm not going to say it was a fully half-assed effort, but it felt like a little bit of it. Me felt like it was a half-assed effort. Don't half-ass it next week. It has to be a balls to the wall. I want to see some real effort, and I also want to see a sense of urgency. That's what I want to see. It's the final show. This is our final show before WrestleMania. We have to bring it. We can't half-ass it. I want this show next week to be better than SmackDown Live. Easier said than done, I know. But I want to see the real effort. I know you're capable of it. You guys can bring it. I know you. I mean, if you put your heads together and you focus and you keep your eye on the prize in the whole 9 yards, you can put on a superior product. And that's what I want to see next week. I want to see the show blow SmackDown Live right out of the freaking water. That's what I want to see. No half-assing, no nothing, no BS, no excuses. Let's get it done next week. Balls to the wall, sense of urgency, and that's it. Done, period, and that's it. Michael Bullock, your overall thoughts on this penultimate Monday Night Raw tonight?
Yeah, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 as well, and and you basically touched on everything. And like I just said, Monday Night Raw, you need to bring your A game next week because this is the final Raw before WrestleMania. And if you have another half-ass effort like tonight, like I said, the Phenom's coming out. He's getting his shovel and he's burying someone, and it's going to be you Ritters at WWE. No lollygagging, no Days of Our Lives drama stuff. I want a solid effort. That's all I'm saying. Florio, let's just move on to your Tony's take.
Yes, Tony's take indeed. We started off with 205 Live, and we had 3 matches on the card, and and as well as an opening segment. So the opening segment was Neville. Neville, basically, ran his mouth in the whole 9 yards, talking about how 1 year and 1 day ago he fractured his ankle and was robbed of his WrestleMania moment, and no one cared. He had been forgotten by all the fans, so he returned and obliterated an entire division. And tonight is the biggest main event in this show's history to see who gets the honor of facing the King at Mania. It doesn't matter who it is, because they will only be there to be deconstructed by the King. He will make them regret having the ambition to challenge him. And then he is interrupted by Mustafa Ali, who is getting ready for his match. Mustafa Ali squaring off against Drew Gulak. Mustafa Ali wins the match 4 minutes and 55 seconds. 2.5 stars, perfectly rock solid average outing with the right guy winning, and that fun finish, that awesome 450 splash. Tag team action next. We had the outlandish Rich Swann and the gentleman Jack Gallagher squaring off against the Scottish Supernova Noam Dar and Arya Daivari. It was Dar and Daivari winning the match in 4 minutes and 8 seconds. 2 stars, by default, worst fight of the night. It was a perfectly acceptable match, but I've had my fill of the Dar angle and any interactions at all between Gallagher and Daivari. It wasn't bad, but felt like a going through the motions house show fight. And then the big match, the main event, the 5-way elimination match. Austin Aries, TJ Perkins, Akira Tozawa, the Brian Kendrick, the premier athlete Tony Nese. The winner faces Adrian Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship at WrestleMania. When all was said and done, the winner of the match in 14 and a half minutes, Austin Aries. No big surprise. We knew it. We knew AW was going to win this match. The greatest man who ever lived, Austin Healy Aries, is on his way to face Adrian Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship at WrestleMania. Of course, the fight of the night. Let's not kid ourselves. We knew it was going to be. 3.5 stars. It was overall very good. It was an overall very good, but not overly great main event. The last multi-man contender match they had on 205 Live had a better layout and flow overall, but it was still a fun match, and I'm not at all surprised with the outcomes. So there you go. 3.5 stars. AW wins. So there you go. Overall thoughts, 6.25 out of 10. Another perfectly solid effort from 205 Live with a fun main event that's worth checking out when you have a minute to go on the WWE Network. So 6.25 out of 10, no question about it. So, and of course, tomorrow night, we know that we're going to have another confrontation with Aries and Neville. So that should be a lot of fun. So, and then we'll see what else they decide to throw our way. So now we go into Impact Wrestling. Of course, the previous week's show I said was an incomplete show because, there was it was such a mess. Let's not kid ourselves. But now let's move on to, and I'm going to tell you right now, this was definitely a better show than that Abomination a week before. So there will be no incomplete on this show. I'll tell you that right now. So an in-ring segment, Alberto El Patron, as you know, relinquishing the World Heavyweight Championship because of finish to his match with Lashley on that awful show. And they gave the belt back to Lashley in the whole 9 yards. But I'll say it like this. It's a good open to the show. I'll say that. It was a fine segment to start the show. But here's the thing, though. I loathe that they did the dusty finish, but I thought Patron's promo came off well. And it got better when he and Ethan Carter III had their back and forth. I do hate that we went right back to the show opening promo after last week's show had the fresh brawl to kick things off. Creative ways to start the show and not settle back into the promo. It's one of WWE's biggest crimes on wrestling, convincing others that you have to start a show with people talking and running their mouths for God knows how long. That's got to stop. It really does. I mean, I for one get sick and tired of it. We go into a tag team match. We have a new team debuting. Garza Jr. and the Laredo Kid. They squared off against Eli Drake and Tyrus, and Garza Jr. and Laredo win the match in 11 minutes. 2.5 stars. Really odd choice to debut 2 flyers against Drake and Tyrus. They got the win, which is nice, but they didn't get a chance to really show what they could do. And of course, commentary made sure not to put over the win in any way. I also get that they need to push new guys, but beating Drake felt like a very poor choice, especially when Tyrus is right there. Match was solid, though. I'll give it that. And then we had another in-ring segment with Cody Rhodes was Cody Rhodes' wife, Brandy Rhodes. You remember formerly Ian Styles in the WWE. She was going to face a young lady by the name of Casey Quinn, but Cody Rhodes, says no, that's not happening. I'm calling out Moose, but then he took Brandy to the back, and then the Knockouts champion Rosemary showed up, and then she beat down that young lady by the name of Casey Quinn. So that's really all there is to say on that. And then we had Alberto El Patron against Ethan Carter III. This was the number 1 contenders match. The winner will face Bobby Lashley at a future time and day for the World Heavyweight Championship. Winner of the match via submission in 21 minutes and 55 seconds. It's Alberto El Patron. He's now the number 1 contender. I'm going to give this 3 stars for the effort. I mean, it was a good match with Patron appearing more motivated than in his match with Lashley. Unfortunately, the finish felt impossibly stupid as EC3 has been diagnosed with dumb babyface syndrome. EC3 gets the steel chair and has enough time to grab a protein shake and get a few sets of crunches in before dropping it and losing. I did like that they put this in the middle of the show because with the main event spot, you could feel the finish coming. But here there was more doubt, which I appreciated. This EC3 constantly failing needs to lead to a Dolph Ziggler-like heel turn to really freshen him up and to bring the story full circle. So that's all I can say on that. X Division Championship on the line. Trevor Lee defending it in a 4-way against Suicide, Braxton Sutter, and Andrew Everett. Winner of the match and still the X Division champion. It's Trevor Lee. It was about 12 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm going to surprise some people when I say this. This was the fight of the night. 3.5 stars. As a match, it was a ton of fun and overall very good. The type of match, action-wise and time-wise, they need to let these guys have. My only complaints are that they need to stop over-relying on the multi-man matches, and I absolutely hate that anyone and everyone gets a title shot due to the fact that they only seem to do multi-man matches. So that's really all I can say on that. But other than that, this was the fight of the night, 3.5 stars. And then we had the end segment, Bruce Pritchard. You remember Bruce Pritchard, for all of you younger fans out there, best known for his run in the WWE as Brother Love back in the day. He's basically now the authority figure in TNA, and he basically addressed the tag team titles because, the Broken Hardys, Matt and Jeff, they were the tag team champions. But as you know, Matt and Jeff left TNA, and they're now working for Ring of Honor. So Bruce Pritchard decides that in 2 weeks, the top 4 teams are going to fight to crown new champions. We have Decay. We have Reno Scum. We have Garza Jr. and the Laredo Kid. And then, but wait, the brand new Latin American Exchange, the LAX. Oh my goodness, I really wish MF was here. He really could have helped me out with this. You have your Conan. You have your Homicide. The only difference is there's no Sean Hernandez. He's not with them. It's a brand new LAX. You still have your Conan and Homicide from the original, but you've got Angel Ortiz, Mike Draztek, and Angel Rose. And then they basically beat down everybody. The angle was perfectly fine, but the return of LAX felt like a great moment with a ton of energy and a great beatdown. Conan and Homicide being involved is cool, and a great link to LAX's past and should hopefully help Angel Ortiz and Mike Draztek get over. So that's all I can say on that. Really good. Overall, this was a 7 to 7.5 out of 10. Make no mistake about it. I felt that the reboot show the week before was absolutely horrible. We cannot rewrite history, but I really wish that this week's show could have been the reboot here. This effort was a very good show. They toned down the commentary angle. The EC3 Patron match was good and sets better with Patron earning a title shot. The show's flow felt more focused. They introduced new talent and closed things out with a hot angle in the LAX return. Week 2 was drastically better than week 1. And a show that I fully much enjoyed way more than that god-awful show the week before. I never gave an incomplete review before. Never. But that show, that god-awful show the week before, I had no choice. So that's it. So now let's get into what we can expect for the next edition of Impact Wrestling, which will go down this Thursday night on Pop Television on Thursday at 8:00. And let's see what they have in store for us. Excuse me one second as I try to look up my notes here. Okay, here we go. March the 23rd edition of Impact Wrestling, which will, and let's see what they have here. We had the return of Karen Jarrett. Karen Jarrett, as you all know, the wife of Jeff Jarrett and the ex-wife of Kurt Angle. She basically, I guess she basically is taking over the Knockouts. I guess I don't know what the deal is on that. So keep an eye out for that. Laurel Van Ness squaring off against the young lady by the name of MJ. Okay, that's not going to be anything good. Andrew Everett against DJZ. Jeremy Borash interrupting, or I should say interviewing the Knockouts champion Rosemary. But an interruption goes down. I'm not going to say anything because it's a surprise interruption. Ethan Carter III was going to cut a promo, but he gets interrupted by James Storm. The new James Storm. The old James Storm is back. He is no more, thank God, because that was terrible. A young man by the name of Kevin Matthews went up against Braxton Sutter. We also had the vacant tag team championships. LAX, The Decay, Reno Scum, Garza Jr., and Laredo Kid. Eli Drake against Caleb Connolly. And they addressed the commentary angle. There's going to be a Knockouts Gauntlet match. James Storm is going to cut a promo. Andrew Everett against Suicide and Marche Rocket. Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards in a Last Man Standing match. And probably not going to all go down on this week's show, but like I always say, read into what I just said, read into it what you will, and or as Derek Ferrera likes to say, take it with a grain of salt. So just check it out Thursday night at 8. We'll go from there. So that's going to do it for this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. We're going to get into our quick shout outs here. Michael Bullock, you started off, and then I'll take it, and then we'll get into some very exciting future content. Big announcements coming up.
All right, of course, shout outs to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this, Cerebral Smack Talk, or Strictly Sports. It doesn't matter. We thank you also very much for tuning in tonight. And of course, shout outs to all of our shout outs to the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson, who for some reason couldn't join us tonight. But, it is what it is. Of course, shout outs to our other super fans, Matt Ward and Jason Hicksonbaugh. Of course, to all of our friends for high school days. You guys know who you are. Of course, shout out to Michael Fletcher, feeling under the weather. Hopefully you'll be better, and hopefully you'll be around to do the Cerebral Smack Talk tomorrow night. So, yeah, and of course to Derek Ferrera as well. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So, until then, this is the Phenom Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it a Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, and then we'll talk to you tomorrow night. So, Florio, take us home and give us that exciting future content.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. So let's run it down. Of course, with our shout outs, of course, first and foremost, the Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson, the first lady of our show. I thought she was going to be on the show tonight, but apparently she was unable to join us. I guess she's been having cable internet issues or something like that. So unfortunately, she had to miss out on the show tonight. But a shout out to her and the family nonetheless. Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK, who just celebrated a birthday recently. So happy birthday to Daniel Luttrell. Of course, our other first ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway, along with our friends from our high school days, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Braderson, and Rob Parsons. And of course, last but not least, good old MF Michael Fletcher, who couldn't join us tonight due to illness. And of course, the man who puts it all together, the hardcore pipe bomb himself, Derek Ferrera, our Imperial Grand Poobah. Save the rest of our shout outs for Friday night. And well, here's what's going down. Not sure what's going to happen tomorrow night when it comes to the Cerebral Smack Talk, but hopefully MF will be ready to go. But if not, I'll probably have to fill in as host. And if I do have to host, I'm gonna start the show at 10 o'clock so we can get it done. That's just how I feel. But it'll depend on how MF feels. So hopefully, I'll hear from MF via Messenger or Facebook or text or something. So hopefully, we'll have a show tomorrow night. We'll review SmackDown Live and we'll see what happens with that. So stay tuned. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. Now, as far as the exciting future content goes, Friday night, Strictly Sports. We got our back to reality docket here, as I say. We had that awesome broadcast last Friday, putting over the NCAA tournament, and that was a lot of fun. I was very proud of that broadcast. I'm not going to lie, but we're back to reality here. NFL hot stove, yeah. Dwight Clark, in a very serious matter. Dwight Clark has been diagnosed with ALS. We're going to address that. Triple G defeating Daniel Jacobs in that boxing match. We're going to do our Major League Baseball 2017 season preview, our division by division winners and the whole 9 yards. We're going to recap the third round in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. We'll also preview the Elite 8 matchups, and we will have our NBA power rankings. They are back. And then that'll be on Friday. And then, of course, next Monday, we got Ridiculously Raw. Tuesday with the Cerebral Smack Talk. Next Thursday, let's keep this in mind. Next Thursday, March 30th, we are going to have a special Thursday night edition of the Wrestling Forum. You remember a few weeks ago, we did it for Fastlane. We're doing it again here because we are going to preview both NXT TakeOver Orlando and the Show of Shows, the Showcase of the Immortals, WrestleMania 33. That will be next Thursday night. I'm thinking about starting that show at 10 o'clock as well. Just so we can get the early start time and, we can accommodate everybody. So hopefully we'll all be available for that show and we can get the show done and, let it run as smooth as silk. So that's what I'm hoping for Thursday, March 30th. Because remember, Friday, March 31st is the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And then Saturday, April 1st, of course, will be NXT TakeOver Orlando. We do not want to have to worry about a show on both of those nights. So great call. I like the call. I know Bullock likes it too, and I'm sure all of us are down with it. So I'll run it by MF and Didi Woodson when and hopefully we'll hear from them when in due time. So mark that down. Thursday, March 30th, NXT TakeOver Orlando and WrestleMania 33. No Strictly Sports whatsoever. That's gone and by the wayside. So that's it. So there you have it. So that will put the ball on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. And until hopefully tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, it's the Ridiculously Over gentleman Anthony Florio here for the Phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Good MF Michael Fletcher, the Twisted Angel Didi Woodson, and the Hardcore Pipe Bomb Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Tuesday. And until hopefully tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. Good night, everybody.